Hello and welcome to another fantastic episode of We're the North Bank podcast where we chat all things Arsenal. And today or this evening, I'm joined by Stefan and Chris. Hi, guys.
Evening.
Hello.
So, how's it going?
Couldn't be better.
Good, yeah. Busy day at work,
Yeah.
mowing the lawn when I got back.
Anything happening over the weekend? Nothing? No?
Not much.
Went to the cinema. Yeah.
All right, okay. Anything interesting? Okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I mean,
Right.
it was what you'd expect.
All right. Okay, so there was actually a football match yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, it was. If you told me beforehand there would be 3 goals in the game, I'd have thought, "Thank you very much." I didn't quite see it panning out the way it did. So if we go on,
Was it a 3-0 game?
no, I thought that was. I thought that was unjust. I can't argue with the defeat.
No. Brighton were very, very good.
Yeah, it's galling that City's game at Brighton is redundant. It just annoys me because that's a strong team with strong tactics, and if there was one team that could undo them, their penultimate game, that's the galling part of it. But anyway, we'll get onto that. Let's just look. Your gut reactions will be quite evident as we chat through, I'm sure. First thing was, I suppose, pre-team news was the Man City game. Nothing surprising there, really. I kind of lived in this false hope that Everton might do something, but short-lived, that was.
I
hope they go down.
I absolutely join you in that sentiment.
That'll learn them.
Well, it also guarantees us a lot more points next season because Southampton have already gone. Everton will go.
Yes. Yeah. If Brighton got relegated at the same time,
it's another 6 points.
That title would be on.
And obviously, Man City's demotion to League Two, that'll save us 6 points.
Yeah, it's coming.
Are those charges still live? Because no one's talking about them.
No, because there'll be so much legal wrangling going on behind the scene. I think there's obviously rights to appeal. They're talking about court of arbitration. I mean, this will go up and on and on and on and on. You're talking
their lawyers will
years.
kick the can down the road as long and as far as they can.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be a done in 6 months job,
So
unfortunately.
in 2026, we can look forward to a victory parade for this season.
Well, someone who was on the bus with a little bit of gallows humour was saying, because everyone was like, "Oh, Wolves game, it'd be nice if something was on that," and blah blah. And he's like, "No, I'm going to celebrate it like we've won the league because in 4 years' time."
Yeah, yeah, I'm on that page. So anyway, City stuffed Everton, and good riddance to Everton from this point forward. Team news for us saw Tierney come in for Zinchenko. Now, defensively, I think the reaction to that was probably quite positive. But I think, Stefan, during the game, you quite rightly pointed out that Zinchenko's miss was probably quite costly in the end.
There won't be many more bigger fans of Kieran Tierney than me.
No.
But it's just evident, what Zinchenko gives you on the ball and that idea of control. A lot of our games recently, even the ones that had disappointing results, Southampton, West Ham, etc., we just bossed possession and controlled the game. We lost it in certain moments of madness and, misfortune at times as well. Whereas Brighton was so good as well that actually that lack of control or that lack of sort of dynamism that Zinchenko gives you, because as much as I love Tierney, he is a bit of a throwback in that sense.
Yeah, but actually, on that, he didn't even do that.
No,
He didn't do that overlapping fullback.
he didn't
Well,
really know
yeah,
whether
getting
to.
forward.
Yeah, I think Brighton did such a number, didn't they, that he wasn't able to get
Well-
forward as he would have liked.
Well,
And
interestingly,
half a dozen touches in the first half.
yes, 7 touches in the first half. But interestingly, Arteta admitted afterwards that he tweaked our game plan, our tactics to suit Brighton,
Yeah.
which I thought was quite interesting, considering he didn't do that for the City game at the Etihad. And it just brought home to me that he's very much learning on the job.
Yeah.
And he's inexperienced in this sense as well. I know he's kind of observed from the inside a title charge and successful title charge at City already, but still, when the buck stops with you and you're the one making the decisions, that it kind of throws a different pressure on, and that certain things I'm sure he will concede that he got wrong. But I just wonder, at home to Brighton, was that the game to change your approach?
No, for me, particularly after Brighton got spanked last weekend, for me, getting a fast start was crucial yesterday. I would have loved to have seen us go at them, get that early lead, and put that sort of seed of doubt in them, because you know what it's like once you've been beaten well, and then you go down again straight away in the next game. It's going to play on you, no matter what the manager has said to you in that week. So that's what disappointed me the most about the opening, was that we obviously had this plan of sitting off and playing almost like the away team, because it worked at Brighton. But I just would have liked personally to have seen us go at them a bit more for the first 15 to 20 minutes, but didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. It was very passive, and there was no
credit to them as well.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. But I just would have liked to have seen us with that sort of more of an agenda to say, no, we're at home here and we're going to take it to you.
And after winning at Newcastle in the manner we did,
yeah,
it can't, it wouldn't have been a lack of confidence or.
No, it was a game plan thing, wasn't it?
And no other changes to the team selection at the start. Jorginho kept his place and Kivior kept his place, and it was pretty much as you'd expect. Martinelli, discuss what's.
Well, I haven't seen any of the footage back. I haven't brought myself to watch the highlights. And live, I don't know. I listening to a podcast earlier today, Football Weekly podcast. They were saying actually Martinelli on Mitoma could have been more of a red card than actually the revenge tackle from Casido.
They were both yellows. They were both firm yellows.
Sure.
In my book.
Yeah.
He didn't lead with his elbow. He kind of turned his back into him, but it was cynical in the way that he leapt and then turned into him to sort of flatten him.
Well, it looks like he was endangering an opponent to us way down the other end. It did look pretty violent, the way his whole body just kind of changed direction and he crashed into the turf. It did look. I thought, oh, that's nasty. That looks bad. But the referee should have yellow carded him then, and because he didn't.
Yeah. He was doing that classic thing of not wanting to give an early yellow, wasn't he? And setting a precedent, but he got that wrong.
I haven't, like Stefan, I've not rewatched not even a nanosecond of the game. So, Chris, you're probably better placed to answer this. The Mitoma tackle, the Caicedo tackle on Martinelli. I said straight away, that's a red card. Like straight away, because it looked like he'd gone studs on his leg. I couldn't tell you what part of the leg. So what was it like then in like replay and slow-mo?
I wouldn't have. Again, I just felt that a yellow, and maybe it wouldn't have even happened had Martinelli got given a yellow, because it was clearly he saw red, Caicedo, and just went in for revenge. But I wouldn't have called that as a red card either, personally. It was nasty. It was late. but he was running away from him. It wasn't like a kind of coming together. He was getting away, and he kind of took him out from behind. So that's my take.
And that's what did for him as well. It was that tackle that had him replaced. I haven't heard any update on his injury today. I don't know.
He left the ground in a boot.
We saw him walking around after the final whistle with the boots on, but that's often just precautionary.
Yeah. He's got the whole summer to recover, hasn't he? two dead rubbers and the summer.
Yes, although the Invincibles 49 undefeated started with 2 games to go in the previous season, so it would be nice to... Well, it's true. It's true. I was at I think one of those games.
6-3 Southampton.
Yes,
Jermaine
I was
Pennant.
at two hat tricks.
Jermaine Pennant.
From memory, 2 hat tricks in that game.
Yeah,
Perez.
For us.
I think it was Perez. Yeah.
And obviously Forest away. You're going, aren't you, Stefan?
Yeah. Yeah, I am. I'm going to Forest, another bogey side.
It's a great atmosphere though. There, it'll be good.
Your Forest fans are great. You know, they're up there with Leeds fans, Palace. You know, all those lively places that you like to go away to. They'll be fighting for their lives. And another thing that was said on the coach on the way home yesterday was, actually, if we did lose to Forest, that would help relegate Everton. So.
Again, I can get on
every
board
cloud
with that one as well. Yeah.
But no, I mean it's one of those things. We're talking about team selection. Like I've really been calling for Trossard to feature a bit more, maybe from the start. He looked really poor when he came on, and he came on quite early. Whether he was set or not, I don't know. I know he hit the bar, but he really did look quite listless and.
He was,
they all did. They all did. I don't really want to single anyone out because I thought maybe after the way the game started to unfold, that perhaps against this Brighton side, Partey's dynamism and physicality would have been what needed. But when he came on, he was getting bullied and easily put off as well. So I just think there's nothing in the tank at the minute.
Yeah, I heard someone say, was it Vieira? I think Vieira has said that. He felt that we lack a physical leader.
Sure.
And I think that was absolutely clear yesterday. Because you're right, we were calling for Partey at half-time just because of the way the game was mapping out. And when he did come on, he was bullied as much as anyone.
But we can't ignore the opponents, though, because looking at a recent record, Brighton have lost games to teams they really shouldn't have lost games to. And that's simply this thing of they're really good at going to toe with other teams that want to play, the classic sort of, expansive football thing. But against a low block, actually, those wingers don't have as much space. Those midfielders don't have as much, time and space to operate in. Whereas, we were trying to press high, so they'd go long. We were trying to cut off the angles and they would just find a ball out wide to one of their wingers. And we just fell for it every time.
They beat our press very well, didn't they?
And it wasn't much of a press, but they did. And they did. The fact that Lewis Dunk looked like
can I just say
it was just unbelievable.
Can I just say that at one point I thought Stefan's vocal cord brain connection had got stuck on a loop of just Lewis Dunk.
Yeah, all work and no play makes Lewis Dunk a Lewis Dunk. It was just baffling me because it was almost like we said, okay, well, when you're going to press, obviously the keeper has to be taken into account. So what we'll do is we'll leave Lewis Dunk free. They just lapped it up. They said, okay, we'll give the ball to Lewis Dunk and he'll find another pass because they'll move in the numbers that they need to. Or if he can't do that, he'll just chip it long and one of the wingers will run onto it. And it was just so simple.
We
fell for it every time.
Well, why didn't Arteta or someone on the pitch? Because it happened so many times. countless times. Why did nobody cut off?
Well, we
or
did
just
a couple of
stand
times. We did actually get the ball off them a few times where they'd lost possession and we were able to turn it over. And then there was no final ball. It just fell apart straight away. There was a few times I was thinking, come on, just just get it to someone. And you were talking about Trossard earlier, and uncharacteristically for him, ball carrier, that he is, and smart player. He was just trying a bit too hard, maybe the ex-club thing, I don't know, but he just just felt like he was uncharacteristically poor.
Well, Holly, don't you remember that Jorginho moment in front of us,
Yes.
North Bank End, where we'd managed to sort of press the ball down and challenge them down, and all Jorginho has to do is look to his left, and there's a little ball to the side to Saka, but he doesn't do that. He turns back and knocks
he
it back
saw
to
it though.
whoever the
He
defender
saw
is.
it because
And he saw it. He clearly
he
looked.
feigned to play it and chose not to. And we were away. That was the one time we were away, and he didn't do it. But the other thing, the frustrating thing for them pressing us, we'd go long, but we'd go long every single time to Lewis Dunk.
Lewis Dunk.
Yeah.
Jesus is very good in the air for someone who's 5'9", but you never ever go. I'm sure he didn't win a single header against Lewis Dunk. But every time we went long, whereas when they went long, they were clever, over the top. Ben White retreating and Mitoma bombing on forward there. And I don't know who's on the right hand side for them. Is it?
It's normally March. I think it was that Cisco.
Was he playing wide?
That they brought in, yeah, because Ferguson started up front.
So but it seemed to put us under like immediate pressure. But we wouldn't hit Martinelli and Saka, our two most potent players, and we weren't doing the same to them. Now, and Saka was very off the boil as well, I thought, but in an attacking sense, certainly. But then, like you said, Stefan, we all were. There wasn't any cohesion moving forward at all. It was.
Well, but yeah, I know it might be jumping ahead, but we were all surprised to see Saka stay on the pitch when the substitutions were made. It was that noticeable that if anyone was going to find a pass and do something, it probably was Odegaard, but Odegaard came off.
Yes, I mean, that was the strange one for me. I don't know what the commentary was saying, but taking Odegaard off made no sense. No. I got the idea taking Jesus off.
And yet Jesus was the one who looked the most intense when trying to press and trying to win the ball. So there was an argument for him staying on as well. So Saka really was the one that stood out. He was never going to take Trossard off, having brought him on, although he could have done, because he did. It's probably his poorest performance in an Arsenal shirt so far, and he's been brilliant so far. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it was all very flat. I mean, I must admit, I've never seen such an exodus when the second Brighton goal went in. I don't know whether that came across on TV, but they left in their hordes when the second goal went in. Less so when the third goal went in, because most of them had already gone. But the fans who stayed behind, and I assume maybe half a stadium. I have no idea really. They were very positive. Like, they were very supportive. They were very kind of generous in their applause of the players and appreciation of the players, and the players looked dead on their feet. They really did. I guess that's the realization as well that it was done.
Over.
Yeah. But so again, but even after, I didn't hear much dissent in the ground. Did you? I don't recall any, Stefan.
No, not particularly.
Even after the second or third goals, there was just that little frustration about. Well, much of it was target at the referee. How did he come across on the TV, the ref? Because was there much spoken about him at all? Because was it typical like kind of one-eyed Arsenal fans or home fans?
Yeah, to be honest, I was turn the commentary down when I'm watching. I prefer to watch it without. So I listen. I don't want to make any sort of excuses. I just thought, yeah, Brighton deserved to win the game. For me, I would have stayed until the final whistle because I think there are occasions where I want to get away for one reason or another, practical reasons, the travel, the kids, whatever it is. But a game like yesterday, I would have stayed to the final. I'm not going to get rattles out and say, well done, chaps. But I would have stayed there and just been there for it. And so it wasn't for me. But, everyone's got their reasons, but not for me. I would have stayed.
Yeah.
I have a theory that actually yesterday was a bit of a perfect storm, both physically, mentally, as emotionally, and everything as well. Because the week before, Brighton lose 5-1 at home to Everton, and Everton, and Brighton are the team that everyone's looking at, going, "Oh, they're going to have a say in the title race," and they have. But we were hoping that they would do something at City. They've lost 5-1 to Everton. Everton are playing City next, so everyone's kind of a little bit sort of giddy, maybe getting way too carried away. I do not trust this Everton side to do anything at all.
Apart
and Brighton
from
have, apart from beat us, and Brighton have struggled against teams that are happy to just sit back and defend and scrap for things on the counter, which is exactly what Everton did to us and beat us. So we're just as guilty of falling for it as well. Then you have the build up to the game where, City have that, 1-1 against Real Madrid, putting, minutes in the legs, even though they can change 7 or 8 players and they're just equally as brilliant. They go and beat Everton before the game. Everyone's a bit kind of like, I was just in a cafe on Holloway Road and you could feel the atmosphere die a bit when Everton scored in there because they had it up on the screen. But the atmosphere in the ground was really good as well beforehand. Block 6 was rocking beforehand. And then the game starts and it's competitive. We expected a tough game from Brighton. Brighton were brilliant. But Brighton were also a bit of a wounded animal. De Zerbi in the week said that 5-1 against Everton, no, that's not good enough. We need to do better. And boy, did they do that.
Yeah, he said you'll see the real Brighton against Arsenal.
You'll see the real Brighton against Arsenal. And we did. But it's the Brighton we should have expected. Then there's this thing of, our season, fading away a little bit. It was a very slim chance that we could win the league. Big players out in Saliba. Lots of stats flying around online about, us with him, without him, pre-World Cup, post-World Cup, and all that sort of thing. He is massive to that defence. But add on top of that Zinchenko as well, with what he gives you on the ball. It's a different outlook for a team. Kivior, who's made 3 starts in the league, is a young centre back, new to the country. It again just felt like perfect storm a little bit.
Chris, was it
result.
a foul? Was it a foul on Kivior for their second goal?
I don't think so. I think it's one of those where you just got to stay on your feet and make you better. He seemed to go down looking for it a bit. Unfortunately, that was my view of it.
Because again, I haven't watched it again. I didn't know this.
I just feel like it's that thing of trying to find, where perhaps there was a penalty shout here, and I think we were well beaten, and it's more about again stepping back and looking holistically at like where we've come, how far we've come, looking forward. Is the best place to be to stop yourself going mad, basically.
And I think that was very much the mood in the stadium. I really do.
I think for those who stayed,
I think everybody realised that the better team won.
Yeah, once you take the blinkers off, I think.
Yeah, and I'd much bizarrely, I was saying this today to someone, I'd much rather that than lose, thoroughly undeservedly, some fluke. I've always been quite philosophical. If we deserve to lose a game, fine, I'll take that. I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated perhaps, but I'm not like...
Doesn't feel as unjust.
Yeah, my mood isn't impacted for the next decade because of it, 1999. But anyway, won't go there. We should have won the double. Sorry. They won the treble. I hate them. What?
I mean, the few things that I've looked at and read today, all the sensible sort of rational responses are that this, I've talked about it many times before about the dissonance that it is both yes, we've done poorly in recent weeks, but at the same time, City are this unstoppable force. Both of these things can be true. You know, their run towards the end of the season is almost unreal, and at the same time, we have done some disappointing things. That said, again, you got to step back. You got to look at where we're at. The fact that Arteta, you know, I think quite rightly came out quite strongly and said that second half, you know, just shows, you know, where we're at and where we've got to get to. You know, last season we kept saying it's these streaky losses and defeats that made us miss out on top four. Well, it's this final streak that has meant we've missed out on a title. I mean, that's progress. That's great.
Yeah. Well, we've only lost 2 games in 3 months.
Yeah, the journey here has been brilliant. And there was a brilliant Daniel Taylor, who's I mean, he writes for everyone, The Guardian, F365. He's on Football Weekly. He had a great point. He pointed out that actually only a handful of teams reach their destination every season. The destination being winning a title or winning a cup. For everyone else, it's about the journey, and that will be, you know, 90 or whatever it is % of football fans. So, you know, we've obviously been massively spoiled in the past, but at the same time, you know, thinking of what's gone on over the last recent 5th anniversary of Arsene Wenger leaving and where we've sort of gone in that time, I think this season's just been incredible. And like you say, I've got no problems losing to Brighton. Best team won on the day. Everton was disappointing because it was a flat performance and they kind of sucker punched us. Man United away sticks in the craw a bit because we did actually play well and there was a decision there. You know, Man City took their chances against us, but showed us respect. It was a sign of where we'd gone. Didn't really turn up at their place, unfortunately. But, you know,
for me, there was one moment, and it's the
not Brentford
Saka penalty.
Oh, against West Ham.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
3-1 up, game over, and the Southampton game is possibly very different as a consequence of that as well.
That's the one for me. The West Ham game, I always bleat on about that one, but yeah. Unfortunately, there are catalysts, aren't there? You can point to Partey trying to flick it over. Rice, but you know, prior to that, we were a bit shaky as well, and that's I could.
The fact that
Amber Light was off.
Yeah, the fact that we are disappointed with 80, what is it, 2 points, 81 points, I can't remember, and second in the league is a testament to that journey. This season has been phenomenal. You know, let me ask this question. Man United, say Man City will win the treble and they beat Man United in the final, which I am now like...
I'm on board. I'm on that
fully
train.
behind that,
On that train. I had a Man United fan messaging me last night, you know, taking the mick or whatever, and I just let rip about that. I am full on blue moon. I saw you standing alone.
I can't believe that there are United fans and Liverpool fans out there that would prefer City to win the league.
Oh, well, the Man United fans is because of it's why I hate Man United over Spurs, because it's that rivalry, and that's so they very much. We get under my mate, who's I've known since we were 10 years old. He's a Man United diehard fan, and he messaged me halfway through this season saying, "You must be doing well because you're getting under my skin more than Liverpool and City." And so it's been okay because we haven't been a rival or a threat to that. Even though this season we weren't a rival to them in terms of the title, we were beyond them. But they would absolutely. I mean, they can rationalise City winning the league like everybody else can,
because it doesn't count
and so on.
Not anymore.
Liverpool, fair enough. But let me ask you this question: Man United end the season in 4th place with the League Cup win. Arsenal finished 2nd. Whose season do you prefer?
Well, I prefer our season.
Objectively,
it's impossible. I can't.
But
I
you're...
No. Okay. Okay, then I offer you option A or option B. Option A is you finish 4th and win the League Cup. Option B is you finish 2nd.
But then you're just looking at, as Stefan said, you're just looking at the destination, and you're saying, would you rather end 2nd with no pots or 4th with a
why are you
crappy
following
League Cup?
your team?
Because
to win things? No?
Again,
Ultimately?
because okay, this is romanticizing slightly, but we've talked about this a lot, about the whole idea of getting behind your team when there's a culture change and there's a journey there, there's a narrative, dare I say. You know, we're following something here, and irrespective of whether we win stuff, of course we want to win stuff, but the fact that we haven't doesn't diminish that at all. I'm fiercely proud of what we've done.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to say to you that Reece Nelson's 97th minute winner isn't as significant now we haven't won the league. I will not look back on it as.
But you can't take away that moment when you were in the stadium going hugging strangers.
It was always within the context of being able to look back on that moment as being the big wow moment in that season, in a season of amazing highs. That was it. But for me, something's been slightly diminished in that by not winning the league.
I think that says more about you.
Possibly.
I think had it been a game that you were talking about where he'd scored that goal and we were, oh my God, that's going to live in my mind forever, blah, blah, blah. And then Bournemouth equalise, then it becomes a bit of a meh moment. But I feel...
Well, ultimately, the same outcome has occurred
over a season, but
I'm
saying is you celebrate that moment as a game, and you go home happy, and you talk about that game, and that's part of the sort of tapestry of our season.
It's still an amazing moment, but for me, it would have had more significance had it led to us winning the league.
Of course,
I'm all on for the idea of the journey. I get that, but the destination is as important.
Put it this way then, right? Going into next season, who would you rather be, Arsenal or Man United?
Yeah, that's fine. But United aren't going to sit on their hands in the summer.
No, they're not.
Just because they finished fourth. Look at us. We finished fifth last year and end up second this year. Just because you finished fifth one season doesn't mean you can't have the best season of 2 decades the season after. But you're going in. Man United are going into next season. I mean, presumably, we don't know for sure yet, but presumably in the Champions League and having won the League Cup, possibly they could win the FA Cup as well. And I listen. The League Cup is definitely number 4, but and their run to the final was ridiculous. Home draws against crap opposition the entire way through. So, but ultimately, no one will remember that they won the League Cup. They've got a trophy. They've won. You talked about only. Daniel Taylor said only a limited number of teams actually gets to that destination. Well, Man United are one of those teams this season.
Yes, and that would have been fine. But normally, what happens is that the winning the League Cup. Jose Mourinho made a point, and Pep even made a point of that early League Cup win is brilliant for galvanising a team and going on a run and ending the season strongly because you've won something together. Man United have not done that. They're in an okay bit of form, but it's not been, a real kick-on moment for them. And they've got owners that are, from the outside looking in, I don't know anything about it, but it looks like the owners are pretending to sell the club to try and appease the fans, and they don't really want to let it go because it's a massive cash cow for them. And even if they do sell it, they're selling it to Jim Ratcliffe, who bought Nice in France, and they are mid-table, with David Brailsford, who used to run the British cycling team, the whole, marginal gains thing. Well, it's not working for Nice in particular. So there's no guarantee that that's going to be a success. Or they sell them to the Qataris. And that's where I'm going to leave that one there. So, it's one of those things. There's no guarantee that, just because they've got loads of money, they'll spend it well. They've actually got quite a bloated squad that they need to think about.
Okay. So remove United from the equation. Any other team finishing 4th and winning the League Cup.
But it's when you ask me as well. If you'd asked me at the start of the season, finish 4th, win the League Cup, biting your hand off. I am
as opposed to finishing second. To finishing second.
No, we didn't say that. I'm just talking about them one at a time.
But that's my question. My question was about which would you prefer?
Yeah, but looking across time, at the start of the season, I'm probably going to go, well, you take 4th and a trophy if it's just second.
So what?
Of course.
Even though second, that's a great season.
But this journey's been brilliant. I cannot diminish how good this season has been. This has been my favourite season as a match-going Arsenal fan.
I don't think you get the same sense of pride by finishing fourth and winning a worthless pot compared to the way we've pushed City.
Listen, I was at Wembley for the final against Birmingham. I was at Cardiff for the final against Chelsea. Don't tell that they were painful defeats.
Oh, I was as well.
Right, so they were painful defeats. So I'm not brushing off the League Cup to suit an argument. The League Cup's a trophy, and if we get to the final, I'm all over it. Or even though I was quite happy to go out in the League Cup and the
Brighton.
Oh yes, of course, at home. Was it 3-1? Actually, did worse with our first team. But Stefan, I go back to what you were saying about the journey. I'm like, and I am. There's a degree of devil's advocacy here, but if Arteta had that attitude, well, we're in trouble.
No, but that's the thing. Players and managers are not fans. Like, they're not the same. They cannot be the same. You know.
But why should we not expect and hope and demand our team win something as well?
Look, we all hope. I don't know about demand. That feels like a bit of a ridiculous thing to say. But like, I've been reading loads of stuff about this thing about Arsenal players, would have been a bit deflated by Everton, being beaten by Man City. No. If Everton did get something off Man City, the objective was still exactly the same. And if you're a professional footballer and you think, oh, well, they beat them, so we might as well not bother. No, get in the bin. That's just nonsense. So managers and players, Arteta will be seething about the way it's unfolded, but he will still also be incredibly proud and pleased of the way the team have progressed, but knows that there are still flaws to this side.
Right, so that they're still moving. So you'd rather finish second, no trophy?
I'd rather be happy with where my club is at the minute, and I am. Look, of course, I'd love a trophy. Who wouldn't want a trophy?
I just thought it was an interesting. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, but like I said earlier, I can't answer it without saying that it's about the journey that we've had, because. It's a bit redundant in a way. I'm all about the journey.
I'm all about the rivalry with United.
Yeah, I think you're slightly discoloured by the fact that United might just win another trophy.
Ironically, and just to emphasise the playing devil's advocate aspect, I would much rather be an Arsenal fan than a United fan right here, right now. So, of course, and that's on the basis of everything that's happened this season, but also what I hope will happen in the summer, and looking forward to what will happen next season. I don't buy into this. This was our best opportunity at all. Great if Chelsea are stronger. Great if United are stronger. Great if Liverpool are stronger. Great if Newcastle are stronger. It just means there's more bloody teams there to beat Man City, because we can look after ourselves as well.
Let's just hope De Zerbi doesn't go to Spurs, which I've heard whispers of.
I don't. If it ruins Brighton, I'm taking it.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know who said this to me during the week. It doesn't matter who goes to Spurs for as long as Daniel Levy's there.
Also, you look at the makeup. Like, this is an interesting thing, because the makeup of our squad is we have spent money on players where that money's needed to be spent, but we've also had that core of younger players. So lucky to have some from our academy as well. United have got a slightly similar model, although their age profile of the superstars is a bit older, a bit more expensive. But there are a few younger players. Garnacho's look good when he's come in. Malacia's look good when he's come in. So they're doing a similar thing, but their budget is like well out of whack with where we are. Spurs, Son, 30 plus, Kane, 30 plus. Now, great players will continue to be great players. Kulusevski is gone. Because there's no obligation to buy now that they haven't made the Champions League, so there's no guarantee.
Is that right?
There's no guarantee that they're going to. Now they might buy him. They might buy him.
Is there an obligation only if they qualify for the Champions League?
There was I think it was. I could be wrong on that.
Option or obligation?
No, there was an obligation to buy, but I didn't realise there was a condition
Something
with
was
it.
dependent on Champions League. I'm sure I read that. Whether it was an obligation or whatever the term was, I'm not really sure. But it puts him staying there in a doubt. And obviously, he's missed a big part of the season, and he's been a good player for us. You know, when they beat us 3-0 towards the end of last season, he was excellent that day. But the rest of the squad, their defence is still mental. Lloris is
Romero's
going.
fantastic. What are you on about?
Well, Romero's
It's just
Romero's
a
the most interesting Tottenham player in a generation because he is loved by Tottenham and Arsenal fans in equal measure, and I think that is so impressive because we love him because he's just mental and will do something and kick someone off the park and get sent off, and Spurs love him because he's mental and will do something and kick someone off the park. It's just crazy. Eric Dyer is still a centre-back for Spurs in 2023, and they're looking at giving him another 3-year contract.
Oh, please.
And their youth setup has delivered Skip.
That's it.
Their
Skip.
youth, and that's the thing I was going to get to. Like their youth setup, you know, there were one or two players sort of knocking on the door. There was that Irish player, I think his name was
Parrott.
I think his name was Parrott.
Yeah.
But he just, I know, but he just wasn't getting a look in. They've never had that succession plan for Kane or built in the other positions around him. Like if Kane is your one go-to guy, then you need 3 or 4 Heung-min Sons or Kulusevski, you know, and Richarlison's been a complete waste of money. So actually, even if De Zerbi goes in, yes, he will improve them. He's a great coach, you know, and he is infectious. And if Brighton weren't such a pain in the arse, I'd really like them, but they just are. So I think Tottenham are just a basket case at the minute, and I think whoever goes in, it's a poison chalice, like Pochettino going into Chelsea. It can't work. Whoever goes in, it just cannot work.
They will chuck a lot of money at it as well. That's the only thing,
But they've got to sell.
Enough will stick.
They've got to sell.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? They've got, for harmony, you know, all those kind of factors whereby you've got players changing in the corridor or whatever it was, you know, they're just so bloated that the morale must be on the floor when you're a player on, you know, 300 grand a week and when am I going to get a game? No, I think the City model, pains me to say it, but, you know, having that 18 core players and being able to rotate them out rather than 25 that are kind of borderline kicking around.
Well, you mentioned the word rotate. I did write down a couple of stats. One about that, you may have seen it doing the rounds, but Arsenal have actually rotated the least of all 20 Premier League teams this season.
There you go.
Yeah.
And City have our fourth highest rotation of their first 11. Okay, there's an obvious argument there, squad depth, but I know, you know, Southampton's the wrong comparison. But Southampton have also got the youngest squad along with us. That they've rotated the second most, I think. And I think that's a bit of a blind spot for Arteta, that he hasn't utilised his squad sufficiently early on when there wasn't the need to in terms of injuries. But as a consequence of that,
but isn't the drop off so huge that?
Okay, but would Holding have played the 3 games he did do if Kivior had more game time and proven himself a bit more? Because I think if Kivior didn't have that Europa League game where he was poor, then he would have been the first one in when Saliba got injured, considering Tomiyasu was out already. But the reason he didn't is because he didn't get another opportunity to play after that away game in, was it Lisbon, Sporting Lisbon, that away game. He should have played the home game as well. Like, he should have been allowed to get back on the bike. And had he done well, because he did, like, yesterday, he didn't particularly stand out yesterday as being poor or anything. I didn't see the issue with the goal. Like, I haven't watched it again, so I don't know. And he was, you know, he played in a team that kept a clean sheet against Chelsea, played in a team that kept a clean sheet. That beat Chelsea at home, and they kept a clean sheet away at Newcastle. So
I don't think including Chelsea in that list is actually that much praise at the minute.
Okay,
get that in while I can.
Right, but okay, Newcastle away, clean sheet. He's part of that, but so I think that Arteta's kind of lack of rotation early on ultimately meant that when players did come in, they weren't match ready.
I'm going to play devil's advocate now. You can't have it both ways. Literally, earlier on, we said he's learning on the job. You know, that maybe the point is next season the model will be now to move on and do that kind of short rotation thing that City do so well. You know, City is so funny because look at Gundogan at the minute. He's getting all the praise when actually he's had a relatively quiet season and kind of sat out. It's almost like City, they just kind of, I don't know, it's like a band, you know, a really tight band that can jam and kind of freestyle, you know, in the kind of, you know, I'm trying to think of a band like Frank Zappa type, you know, psychedelic kind of thing. Because what they do, they're very good. The rhythm section just sort of keep going, and then the lead guitarist will go to the front and he'll play a solo for like 20 minutes or something like that, and everyone will just follow it. Well, that soloist going to the front earlier on in the season, that was Bernardo Silva, you know, and then when he's done, he'll sort of switch to the back, and then the bassist will come out, and that's Gundogan, and he'll start slapping it and whatever. And they're just really good at taking their moments and doing that. But the benefit is they can spend 50 million on right backs that they don't use.
And the key thing is there's no drop off in quality.
And the quality is so
similar. And the key thing is the character of the player. The player is prepared to accept that, but they buy into that. There's no one like Aubameyang who's causing rucks in the background, not getting in this starting slot. And I think
that's why Chelsea will continue to be a basket case, because those players cannot be happy, really. You know, someone like Sterling is, you know, he got a couple of goals at the weekend, but before that, had barely featured. It's just mad.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about you don't change a winning team, some would argue, you know, and earlier in the season when we were rampaging through games and on that winning streak, and fantastic, don't change the team, no, don't drop Partey, no, don't. But you kind of need to. I feel like, you know, that's where the next step is that, like City kind of keep other teams guessing. You genuinely don't know who's going to field. Is he going to drop De Bruyne? Is he going to swap him out? Is he going to tweak the formation slightly? And I think that's the next step for us, is that we have a squad that can compete, you know, where there's no drop off in quality.
Don't forget. Arteta said that he expects his players to play 70 games. Well, he said that specifically about Saka.
You know, from a fitness point of view, he's probably just trying to push them.
But look how Saka's been off the boil for the last six or seven games.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So it's not worked. I just hope that he is learning on the job, and that's something that he does pay heed to. And he's so meticulous, and like you can't imagine that statistic or that drop off will have kind of evades his conscience. So.
No, maybe he's trying to play him into form. Maybe the stats suggest that he's not tired, that it's just form, and that he wants to play him back into form. Or, I mean, he's a bit of a
now's the wrong time to be resting him. It's earlier on in the season to have managed his minutes a little bit more. Like I'd hope. I mean, there was what game did he not? He didn't start a game because he was a bit injured, but then he came on with 30 minutes to go in that game.
Was it the home Everton game?
I think we were comfortable.
Cruising.
And it's like, well, why are you bringing him on now?
It was one of those 4-1 games.
Palace, Leeds, one of them.
Yeah.
It's
Leeds.
Because ironically, as a substitute, Reece Nelson has looked the liveliest of the bunch.
Yes, he has. Do you give him a new contract?
Yes, and then sell him.
Yeah.
Same as Balogun last year. I think Balogun's gone cash in. He won't accept. He doesn't want to go on loan again, and he won't accept not starting. And he's not. You know, you don't go look at Lacazette in League One, League One. You don't. That's no barometer of success in the Premier League. And I think he's a good time to cash in on. But we'll do a podcast where we go through the squads and we pick out and highlight things. The last stat that I picked up was interesting from the 1st of Feb. Goals scored: Man City 39, Arsenal 38. So there's been no issue in our attacking sense, and that's up against a team with Haaland and De Bruyne in it, and we've gone toe to toe with them in terms of goals scored. Now, you know what's coming next.
Have you got goals conceded?
Yes, goals conceded. City 11, Arsenal 26.
There you go.
And that does cover, obviously, Saliba's absence and Tomiyasu's absence, because I think Tomiyasu's absence compounded the Saliba absence, because Tomiyasu would have jumped in at right back and Ben White at centre back,
or played centre back himself. He's played centre back
or
himself.
possibly play centre back himself. Just keeping. So there's only one shifting. Thing, but so that you can see where we've come a cropper. It's and our home record. It's our home record that's the goals conceded is appalling.
I joked about this because everyone loves the atmosphere at home now, and there's, like you say, there's real identity and sort of belonging, and the culture's so positive. But have we built a fortress on sand? And I joked that I blame the Ashburton Army on the way home. Get rid of the drum. Come on, we were better when we were all quiet and moaning, and save it for the away games.
Yeah.
Look, we know where the issues are.
Exactly.
It's that defensive cover as well as defensive sort of naivety a little bit as well.
I think it coincided with Partey's drop in form as well.
Sure.
I think that it wasn't just a defensive, as in the injuries to Saliba and Tomiyasu and the replacement and the drop off in quality of the replacement. I think it was Partey and Xhaka had an illness, didn't he? And he missed a game, and he set the first game back. He wasn't that strong, but he's rediscovered that, like certainly at Newcastle.
Yeah.
So it's like I've said before, I want Jesus. I think he's been brilliant, but I'd love him to be an option from the bench, meaning that our first 11 is even stronger again than this season. That kind of thing, where Xhaka, who's been brilliant this season, is an option from the bench or comes in to allow the regular starter to. That's what excites me. That's why I don't think this is our best opportunity gone at all. And
what do you think of the news about him potentially going to Germany? And
I don't want him to leave.
Want him. Well, you don't want him to leave. He might want to leave, though. He might prefer, and his wife is on at him for, whatever other reasons, best school for the kids, whatever it might be, that those factors do, at his age, are very significant.
Listen, I don't want us to sell him, but if he goes with all the best wishes in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's someone like, if that were to happen, then why are we agreeing to find a permanent club for Patino, for example? Why are the rumours abound about Emile Smith Rowe? Like, you can't read an article about Arsenal and players selling players and without Emile Smith Rowe's name popping up. Everybody is, and there is an issue. There is an issue because of the minutes he's got under Arteta and some of the things that kind of pointed things that Arteta has said about him. There's obviously an issue of some description there. But
I think whoever does go, if it's a fringe player or a youth player, the likes of Smith Rowe or Patino, then one would assume that any money you recoup from that can be invested in someone to add to the first team. But if it's a starter, if it's someone like Xhaka, I've sort of righted myself with Tierney going, but Xhaka's probably the most interesting one because, like you say, you wouldn't begrudge him with everything he's been through and the way he's led. But I don't want it happening if it doesn't mean that a replacement comes in that is, on the surface anyway, an upgrade in some respects. And that upgrade can be, in terms of their age, they could be doing a similar job on a similar level, but they're a bit younger and can you invest in that time, or maybe they bring something a little bit different. The bit that worries me about Xhaka is how he's viewed off the pitch. Yes, there was the whole rubbish about the captaincy and this, that, and the other, but every manager who's had him has picked him, and
wanted him as captain,
and every other player who's talked about him has talked about his leadership qualities. So that's a big deal.
I hear Declan Rice is a lovely chap off the field.
Well, we've all seen the video of him making that young West Ham fan cry, but that is what it is. It's about the makeup of the squad. You said earlier about needing like a physical leader on the pitch in a tough spot like we had against Brighton. Well, Xhaka sort of is that to a point, but he needs others to be there with him.
He was very much doing that job solo on Sunday.
Jorginho was gesticulating a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Partey on his day it can do that, but.
And you know who I want up front.
A proper number 9.
I want a different option. I want, but actually not so different. But basically a physical presence up front. Look at we've got fantastic strike front 3, but they're all 5'9".
Yeah,
it's and I want Ivan Toney. That's like because I probably would have wanted him anyway. But when they played against us at our place. He was phenomenal.
He was, yeah.
I was more impressed by him than Haaland.
Yeah.
Just in general play. I mean, Haaland's like, off this world, like numbers. Yeah. He's a proper finisher, but Tony as a player, God.
Yeah, he was a better player. He was a better and that's not losing too much. But look at yesterday. I mean, Tony against Duncan, that's a different game.
Tony not in the squad for Brentford this weekend.
Yeah, I know.
Is the court case coming up? I heard it might be.
Sturridge got a 3-month ban from football for a few offences.
Yeah. And that was on appeal. He got longer before that. I think he appealed and it was reduced.
So Tony could be on one, yeah. But you buy him, and then he's like a new signing in January.
Joey Barton got the longest one, didn't he? But he had a lot more bets, but he got 18 months or something. He certainly did. Quite a lot of previous.
For other things.
Couldn't get any character references.
From like Man City youth team players.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's leave it there because I want to keep it under the hour. And we're just about hanging in there. Right, so enjoy the trip up to Forest or over to Forest for you.
That's the away game of the season. We're going for a party.
Yeah.
Hopefully put Everton
It'll be good.
down.
It'll be good. Is it 5:30 on Saturday? Is that it?
5:30 Saturday evening in Nottingham.
Ooh.
You should do it. You should stay over.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
I just got told about a family barbecue that's now happening on the Sunday. So there's that.
Lovely.
Chris, you'll be watching it on the box?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'll actually watch it. I'll be the most relaxed I've ever been, probably watching an Arsenal game on the TV.
Yeah, you can actually watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, pleasure as ever, chaps, and have a good week. And we'll catch up again after the Forest game, maybe after your family barbecue on the Sunday, Stefan.
Absolutely.
All right. Cheers, gents. Take care.